Okay, good afternoon, class. We are here back for our economics, and we shall not take much time unused. We shall have to start immediately, since we say that time is money, isn't it? Okay, now, before we proceed from where we started or we ended the other time, let us have some small short review of from where we ended the other time. I remember we ended with resources. Do you remember that? We ended with the resources, economic resources. Economic resources. It's not writing very nice. So with economic resources, we said that these are factors of production. These are factors of production that are used in the production of goods and services to satisfy human desires. Okay? But me having therefore defined it, since we were together yesterday, can we please look at the two categories of resources? Yes, one of which we said what? This side here, please. What two categories of resources did we have yesterday? Did we look at yesterday? Yes, we looked at renewable resources, and we also looked at non-renewable resources. Now that you have mentioned what those two categories of resources are, can we try to recall exactly what these two are in broad sense, in the broad meaning? Yes? Okay. This time let us look at this corner. May you please contribute? I know you're scratching the head, you're trying to recall, So let me just hint on it and then you will be able to tell us, isn't it? Okay. So when we're talking about renewable resources, we said these are resources or factors of production that can be revitalized. When we say revitalized, we said we mean what? We mean which can be brought back into use. Which can be brought back into use after a given time period. Right? Okay, which can be revitalized after use in a given period of time. And we gave examples. Like what examples? Hey, you guy there, please. Like which examples? All right. Talked about like forests. Yes. We talked about like land fertility. Land fertility. can be brought back, land can be brought back into use even when it has been exhausted fully. You can use either natural methods of using terraces, mulching, and also we can as well use the artificial mechanism of using artificial fertilizers like urea, DAP, NPK. You understand? Okay. So what about non-renewable? What did we say these resources are? We say that, yes, tell us. Okay, since your voice is low, please let us, let me, whose voice is higher, say it out to the entire room, okay? And we said that non-renewable resources, these are factor inputs. Factor inputs, all what we mean by resources that cannot be revitalized, which we said that which cannot be brought back into use, brought back into use after their initial exploitation. For example, we said we have what? We have minerals. Those underground minerals, among which we have, for instance, we have our oil. When the oil is used up, is extracted, and it is fully extracted from the underground, you can now not tap it in any other way. When you have extracted the copper, the gold, the zinc, cobalt, mention them. Those ones cannot be revitalized. Cannot be revitalized. Yes. So having had that such a small reflection, let us look at wealth. Wealth as another concept which is used in our economics. In the economic world, we are busy looking at the concepts that are used in economics. So in other words, we are still looking at, let me use this, economic concepts used in economics. And under that, having looked at economic resources, we are going further to look at wealth. We are going further to look at wealth. And when we are looking at wealth, we mean, what do we mean? I hear you talking about, I'm wealthy, my father is wealthy, my father is wealthier than yours. what do we mean by being wealth? By having wealth, what do we mean by that? Yes? What we mean is not something coming from heaven. It is something that we always have. That we always have. So, when you're talking about wealth, we mean the stock. We mean the stock of assets. The stock of assets that is owned by an individual, by an individual, firm, organization, all government. All government. So, the items, the assets like what? I have my phone here. I saw it, yes, I showed it to you yesterday. When I have a building like this one we are in, this one here, I have my vehicle outside. When you have your tractor outside, and you have your land, that is wealth. In other words, everything that we tend to own by ourselves, regardless of the differences in the value of those items, they are wealth. They are assets, which assets are very crucial in our day-to-day businesses and production activities. Yes. Now, having looked at wealth, that it is a stock of assets, or goods that an individual or a firm or a given organization or the government has for production and business purposes, then therefore we can look at the forms of assets. These goods that we tend to own as an individual, as a firm, as an organization, or as a country, they are in what forms? They are in what forms? Are we together? Yes. When you are looking at these forms, they are basically three forms. They are basically three forms. They are basically three forms, out of which one we call it collective wealth. Collective wealth. Yes, when we are talking about collective wealth, we mean the goods, the assets which are utilized, which are used, which are enjoyed by, which are owned, utilized, and enjoyed by not only one person, but the entire community. The entire community broadly. That's why we are using that exploitation of that wealth, the ownership of that wealth is by everyone. Collection of people is by a collection of people, meaning that by the entire community. And when we say entire community, I don't mean one village. No, I don't mean only one village. It may be a whole sub-county. It can be the whole country. Yes. Yes. Okay? So when we're talking about collective wealth, and we say that this is the wealth which we're meaning the assets, assets, or we can call them goods. Yeah? Yes. All resources, all goods, all services that are owned, exploited. To exploit, I mean used, that are exploited or used, and enjoyed by the entire